Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I'm really enamored by the small flashlight space. These are kinds of flashlights that take or use these CR123 batteries, or a rechargeable or some variation that allows these for a backup. And I've always been fascinated by the small size of this battery, and then of course things you can build around it, because it's got so much power for a small battery. As a lithium battery, it has tremendous performance even when cold, and it doesn't corrode like the alkalines do. So I use these in vehicle kits, I use them in emergency kits, EDC kits, survival kits, things like that. And that's because oftentimes you can't recharge something, but you might want to use the light in its rechargeable configuration, such as this Phoenix here. This is the Phoenix E1 8R, little tiny light. But the problem, once you get down to small lights, is the interface. And I thought this might be a good one. I have used, this is one of my favorite old ones. This is a 4.7s. Basically, everything you do is with a twist. You twist it multiple times to get into a particular mode, and then you twist it in order to set it in the mode that you want. This titanium one, very similar to this aluminum one. These were always my go-tos just because they were so durable, so dialed in. They had great light. But you need a manual or watch a video in order to know how to deal with it. Streamlight makes one. It's a little bit bigger. You cycle through, or excuse me, this looks like a Phoenix here. Here's a Streamlight. You can cycle through a couple of settings, but not a lot of offering. The Phoenix one, this one here is the PD22. This was a good solid light, if you don't mind the switch there and the switch there. This does not turn it on, this switch, so you have to turn it on and then cycle through. Anyway, I thought this might be the answer. So I was playing around with this, but the problem here is the interface is a little wonky, I think. So you have to hold it in for a bit to turn it on. So if I just push it, it gives me a battery indicator. Nothing happens. Whoops, if you push it more than once, you go into a special mode. I don't want that. Now I've got to shut it off. Maybe I've locked it. I don't know. And then once I do turn it on, if I can turn it on, there, it's in the lock mode. Anyway, then I have to cycle through things. Now I can't undo this. Anyway, I didn't like that part of it. And one of the big reasons is if I'm using this, especially in the low light, and I like these for very low light settings, I mean low lumen settings, is if I click this while it's on, it doesn't turn it off, it goes to the next higher setting. I have to remember to hold it in, and that's not something you often do. So when I did the review on this THRUNITE Catapult, which is a pretty amazing light that actually has this very narrow beam. You can see, turn that guy on, you can see that beam there. Very narrow. I liked the user interface of this thing, and I looked through the THRUNITE catalog and I contacted them and said, hey, could I take one of these for a test run? And they sent me one. This is the THRUNITE T1, and this particular light so far has really impressed me. I chose this from the company, and they were kind enough to send it to me. It uses micro USB recharging. I'll show you the battery in a moment, because there's a few little interesting aspects to it. It does have a magnetic tail cap, so it easily snaps to something and sticks on. A removable and indexable pocket clip that works in both directions, and I've learned to love that on the Surefires because I use that all the time, and that allows you to use it from either side. It's a tip down deep carry, which I like. The Phoenix is a lens up, not quite as deep a carry. So this already beats it there. It is a little bit bigger in all dimensions. I love the orange peel reflector. It gives a nice clean light. Versus some of the ones with built-in spot aspects. This is, a light in this form factor is going to generally be used on the low settings most of the time. In fact, a lot of these are, unless you've got a defensive light like this. By the way, this is the 1-cell version, so there is one battery in this giant thing, and there are 2 of them in this thing. this is what 3 looks like. In fact, here's an example with some Surefire Furies and a backup. Is that this is a 1 CR 123 light, this is a 2, and this is a 3. So proportionately, you're already getting some significant mass just with one. But anyway, that's why I like these, you know, in this form factor. I've tried a whole bunch of others. I like the larger ones for different things. It all depends. Sometimes I look at these as I'm storing 2 batteries, so it's my extra backup battery, but it is there and it does get used. Anyway, on the THRUNITE, what I can do is literally hit the button and it turns on. If I hold it, then it cycles through what they call infinity, back and forth, which is a great way to shift through things. But let's say, and by the way, this has a turbo mode that blasts out like 1500 lumens or something. Let me get the paper here so you can see. Right here in the turbo mode, 1500 lumens. Infinity is what they have with that cycling that I showed you, because it's everything in between. So it goes from 685 down to 15, which is a great usable one. These Surefires go down to about 20 in their low setting, which is ideal for outdoor work. And then it also has this Firefly mode, which I absolutely love. It's half a lumen. Learned to love it with this guy here, the Catapult. Because that's actually a really good usable light in a very dark, smaller environment. And the way you access that is to just simply hold the button in. Actually, it's on. You can't see it. There it is. Very little light. That's how you access it. If I double-click this, it immediately goes to the turbo. So let's say you want to use it for a defensive purpose, or you hear some noise in the distance. You don't get much runtime. You might even just get seconds of runtime. But you can access the turbo with a double-click. So I can get the very highest. This is what I love about this light. The very highest setting and the very lowest setting. Straight off this button, or I can just turn it on and it remembers where it is. And I've got that infinity up and down. So that was max. That's min right there. So I could just leave it. It has a memory, so then I can just turn it on and off with the switch. Totally predictable. That's what I like about it. Strong magnet, very smooth. This right now has moved into my favorite position of all of my smaller lights. This is just, there's a lot going on with the Phoenix. Sometimes I get it into modes. This also takes a charger here, usually, you know, one of the proprietary ones. The problem sometimes is you don't have a cord, you want to just swap batteries, that's easy. Well, here was an issue that I was a little worried about with this guy. Look at the size of this battery. This is one of THRUNITE's. Where'd my little red one go? Here's the standard CR123, and this is an 1100 milliamp hour battery. Whoops, that is running. Grab my battery, drop there. This is a pretty amazing battery, but I can drop this in. It does rattle a little bit, however, it centers and ta-da! It works. There's it cycles through all the way to full blast. So I can use this with its superpower battery, and then should I need to, I can use the CR123s as backup. So I always have these guys around. You can buy them in bulk. You can buy them at grocery stores. But anyway, so this THRUNITE T1 has moved into my top spot in one of my favorite flashlight spaces, and that's the single CR123 battery space, or capability to use that battery. And with that, dock out.